Hey, good morning, Lance. You know, as this thing is evolving, I'm figuring out how I want to do this. So I think that I want to have a chapter for for people, and then within those chapters, they may be smaller chapters. Then I can talk about how they related to my dad and how they relate to me in my in my day-to-day life, either growing up or today or all the above. But I want to talk about today's chapter is Matt McClure, my brother. You met Matt. Your comment when he had dinner with us up at the Flagstaff house was he ain't no Henry McClure. But what I want to talk to you about is, or what I want to talk about is, let me button this up a little bit. So last night, I get a phone call, and it's my brother, and I can just tell he's three sheets to the wind. And he goes, I just feel like hanging myself, and I'm so depressed. Well, truth of the matter is that Matt attempted to hang himself or attempted suicide back in New York, and by hanging, and he wasn't successful at it. Uh, you know, I don't know. I don't understand suicide. I can't fathom suicide. It's it doesn't sound like a good thing, right? I can't. So I call a buddy of mine, Mark Cardulo, shows up, and I tell him what's happening. He knows Matt. He met Matt last time Matt came to Topeka to chill out from New York. He was going to get his shit together, and hey, look, I'm here a week, 10 days at most. Just let me, boots on the ground. Let me get up and going, and you know, and when Matt came last time, I could see he was hunkering in, for the duration, and he was like, oh man, he was just so far out of it. He was just so far out of it. I had to kick his ass out, and he went back to New York. His whole New York story, I'm not so sure that it's relevant as it relates. I'm laughing about it because his first love, and we might want to edit some of this out, but his first love, she turned it out to have a lesbian relationship, and I can't fault her for that. I mean, I can relate, I can understand that, but from Matt's standpoint, that might have created a little pressure. Um, so, I called the police yesterday, and I told them, about, I got the address, and I told them about, what Matt had said, and that he had attempted to do this at some other time. And I got over there, and the police were there, and his daughter Ellen, who I think I know for sure it was Sarah I took to the mission and gave her $20. But I do remember giving Ellen $20. I just can't remember if it was also with a car ride to the mission. But when Ellen and Sarah, Matt's kids, were married, I was the first guy. I was in the room, man. I fed Sarah her first bottle. I've been around them forever, those kids. And I guess what I'm getting at on that side is the generational, how generations of dysfunctionality can be passed down. But I tell you, I went to Ellen's house over in Oakland, and she's got a cute little house, and she looked great. Her skin was good. It didn't look like she was a meth head. And, my brother was totally hammered, and then he was chastising me for calling the police. And I said, look, this is your troubles. Your troubles are above my skill set. You know, I'm not the guy to be doing interventions. You know, you start you start talking to me about drunken escapades, and man, I start to laugh because I think all the shit I did drunk and had a great time and all the fun I had. You know, so and Matt doesn't like to cope. You know, Matt's ultra religious. He's always he's thumping me with the Bible. You know, which I detest. You know, I think that everybody has the right to have their own feelings about it, because it's just it's best guess, right? So if I want to define what my Lord, our God, the Holy Spirit is to me, I'm going to use the Star Wars analogy. You take everything, all the stars, and because there's life out there, so take all the positive energy from everywhere, and that collective is the Holy Spirit, God, our Creator, that mastermind that I've talked about. Dad believes in Napoleon Hill. Dad loved Schuller. And I think Schuller was a big fan of Napoleon Hill. And Matt the other day was talking to me about him moving out here, and the energy, his negative energy, like the dark side of the Force, was coming over the phone so much. I'm just like, man, it's like I got to get away from him. And I can feel the energy because your body, people send out signals, and our bodies are like radios. You can feel the electrical pulses, negative or positive. And I can't be around negative energy anymore. I just can't do it. I don't want to, don't have time for it. I feel like kind of like Lightman, and that show, the character Lightman, Lie to Me. That's which I made Bianca watch the whole series, where this guy who studies Darwin's theory of animal behavior, who applies it to people, that he can tell when people are lying. Well, I can tell people if you've got negative or positive energy. And usually those with positive energy tend to tell the truth more than the ones with negative energy. People, they don't always have good concepts of the truth. So we're back, we're focused, we're talking about the chapter of Matt McClure. And the next kind of thing I want to talk about, because Matt shows up in my life kind of in bites. And one of the bites that I have to talk about that has to relate to our father. So Matt and I are brothers of different mothers. And Matt never was able to comprehend that Dad had been married for 23 years of his life, and that Dad had a completely different life, completely different from the one that Dad shared with his mom. And definitely Matt, and I'm guilty of it, this is the world according to Henry. I admit it, but Matt won't admit that he lives in the world just according to Matt. And that's what I hate about people. It's like, from time to time, my behavior is that of an asshole. Yep. But there are a lot of assholes that are out there that don't know it and won't admit it. Matt is one of those people that doesn't know it and won't admit it. Matt to me sometimes is a poster child of, wow, man, I need to check my behavior. Because a lot of times, sometimes I see me and him, because, we've got dads in us. But our dads. But the difference between Matt and Henry is the mom. So my mom comes from better stock, flat out. at least in the world according to Henry. And I've mentioned this before, that Matt's mom is a nice lady, and I never gave her quite the shot. But since mothers pass down just a slight bit more of their genes than the dad does, that's what's given me the leg up over my time. What Matt hates now more than anything is the fact that I've been able to make changes in my lifestyle effortlessly because something came over me, and I didn't have to go to all these meetings and pray and all this stuff. Something came over me, and one day all of a sudden I didn't want to do drugs and alcohol anymore. I think Matt takes antabuse. But back to a moment, and one of the threads of my dad and Matt was at his wedding. And my dad and I got kind of drunk, and we were at this restaurant. Like, they were wearing fez hats. You know what fez hats are. I think I got a fez hat around here somewhere. Anyway, it was some sort of, like, I don't know, I don't even know the restaurant. It was supposed to be some big deal. Matt and his wife, like, I think sometimes they like to go to restaurants just because, hey, like, this is a cool thing. Well, hell, they got the owner out there, wearing pajamas like I Dream of Jeannie, doing these dances with big tits shaking around. What the hell? It's got my attention all day long, and, no bra and huge breasts. What the hell? I mean, so maybe I'm getting a little out of line. And so Dad and I are getting hammered, and, oh man, the lamb special. So, kind of my dad and I, we're starting to kind of make fun of the whole fucking thing, and it's kind of wearing on people. So, because you get my dad and I teamed up, and, my dad's nowhere near the asshole I am. Because I was I learned from my stepdad, John Breyer. It wasn't, this was, what's that behavior? It was learned behavior. It didn't come from within. But my stepdad was totally a dick and an asshole. And that's where I learned all of it. So, over time, I'm trying to unlearn that. At least I can blame him. Why not? A lot of people know that he was a dick. I mean, he was such a dick, he stole his best friend's wife. So as best friends go, he was sure an asshole to my dad. And, and that always caused a conflict between, dad and stepmom and mom and stepdad. And the bullshit they always used to talk about. It was like my dad had this happy house. The happy house. Like, and they answered the fucking phone, the happy house. And that's where Matt actually was born, at the happy house. And they had a sign, the happy house. So, yeah, we're gonna tell the world that we're happy. So all along, they're fucking miserable. Because my dad, before he got married to Shirley, he called my mom, hey, I haven't walked down that aisle yet. I'm still single, you got a shot at it. So my dad married first, and then we've got the Tim Jones chapter, and then we got the Candace Jones chapter, which those will be small chapters, but we're still in the Matt McClure chapter. And I've rambled. Let's see, we're at 14 minutes. I think I'm gonna keep these bites down to 20 minutes. You wanted me to type for 15 minutes a day. And I bounce all across the board. But we're going back to the restaurant with the fez hats. uh, what was basically the rehearsal dinner, I guess, before the wedding, and so oh yeah, Dad and I ordered Fez hats. Hey, hats! We need some hats. So you got my dad and I wearing Fez hats in this thing, and anybody knows not a lot of people take you serious wearing a Fez hat, and they sure should. So, and I don't even remember what the food was all about. I was hammered, you know. Like, they bring out the goddamn appetizer, and everybody eats with their hands, and that's bullshit. It's fucking dirty. Well, long and the short of this, Dad storms out of the restaurant. And I think Matt followed him, and then Matt came in with his tail tucked. And I went out there, and Dad is looking up at the stars. And, Dad was a navigator during World War II, and I have his star chart. And it was a beautiful night up in Boulder. You could just see the stars. It was just like, that night was beautiful. And then Dad started talking to the constellations. Because Dad was a navigator in the Army Air Corps. He could fly a plane. He could put you where you needed to be by, with a compass and a map and all that through the stars. Dad knew how to drop bombs on Tokyo because he could, guide through the stars. So it was really interesting. Hey, come on in, Niles. It was really interesting talking about the stars to my dad. My buddy Niles just showed up, so this is going to be a good time to say, hey, say hey.
Hey, Travelog blog.
Well, this is actually for my book that I'm writing, The Lawyer's Lawyer, but Not the Dad's Dad. So we're gonna start back up next time about what my dad said, because my dad wanted to leave the fucking wedding and drive back to Topeka and just. But anyway, we're gonna sign off for now. So Lance, here's another entry. Enjoy your day. It's Saturday, and give me a call when you can. See if this works. I think that on the social media Periscope we're going to lose those. I got to learn how to save those recordings. But anyway, I ramble on so much on those. These will be a little more focused. So Lance, here's another entry for The Lawyer's Lawyer, but Not the Dad's Dad.